We'll now proceed to 5-minute question rounds. Let me begin. Ms. Tomer, you caused a disturbance in the force by an interview with a Japanese newspaper where you referred to the modernization programs as costly, but I note that you went on to say, quote, nuclear deterrence continues to remain the #1 priority for the Department of Defense. Do you want to expand on that? Because as you know, it raised some furor.
Senator, thank you, and Chairman. Thank you for the question and the opportunity to clarify that interview. The interview with a Japanese newspaper was heavily editorialized. My comments and remarks during the interview were about the upcoming reviews, the importance of extended deterrence, and the issues that would be looked at as part of these reviews, including looking more broadly at nuclear modernization, at our declaratory policy, and again, that the intent was to assure our allies, and particularly Japan in this instance, that we would consult with them and that extended deterrence remains strong. I am happy to provide the transcript of the interview that more accurately reflects what my remarks were. And during the interview, I did not talk about reductions or express concern about cost. It was as an answer to a question about the $1.2 trillion in nuclear modernization. My answer was some of these programs are very expensive as a statement of fact, not as a concern.
I think it would be helpful to supply the transcript. None of us are familiar with the phenomenon of giving an interview and not having it come out exactly as we thought. We've never heard of that before.
I'd be happy to. And again, to reiterate, nuclear modernization of the triad will be one of our top priorities.
Thank you. Now, there is a statement in your prepared remarks that caught my attention, and I just wanted you to clarify it. It's in the middle of page 5. It says, we will begin to explore those steps that can be taken to reduce the role of nuclear weapons in our national security strategy while continuing to ensure our strategic deterrent remains safe. Those steps that can be taken to reduce the role of nuclear weapons. Can you amplify on that a bit?
Yes, sir. So that was the direction coming out of the National Security Strategic Guidance, the interim guidance, that the United States would reduce the role of nuclear weapons. And so we will be looking at options to do that and present options to be considered and decided as appropriate. And it's really in the context of the strategic guidance saying that we had to look at reducing the existential threat of nuclear weapons.
I appreciate that. Will the budget that we're about to receive show any substantial change in the priorities in terms of modernization?
Sir, I can tell you what I can quote at this point is the discretionary budget that came over from OMB, the guidance that was submitted to the Appropriations Committee, saying that there would be support for nuclear modernization and sustaining our nuclear forces. At this point, I can't go into the details of what the FY22 budget will cover, and I understand the delay is causing some frustration, but really happy to come back and brief in more detail and meet with you and your staff.
Thank you. We'll follow up.
Thank you.
General Ray, I only have a minute left, so we may want to come back to this, but the question is, how much longer can we life extend the Minuteman III? And your view on the practicality of that approach as opposed to developing the ground-based strategic deterrent?
Sure, thank you for the question. We're out of time. There are several key components that needed to be...
I'm not out of time. You mean we're out of time? I've got 27 seconds.
Hey, sir, I'll talk as long as you want me to on this one. But there were several decisions that would close out the gaps that we needed for the Minuteman III extension. 2015, 2016, decisions needed to be made to start programs for our propulsion system rocket engines, our missile guidance sets, and for our boosters. That's now 6, 7, 8 years beyond, because we made the decision to go with GBSD through the JROC and through the analysis of alternatives and the milestone decision authorities making that decision at the OSD level. We did not go backwards. So you actually are out of time. You will buy a gap, a significant gap in ICBM capability if you were to go backwards now. And I can come back to that, sir.
Thank you. I think we almost certainly will. Senator Fisher.